So, on this episode of Accountability, let me remind you first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. We're going to do what? We're going to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and then share. That being stated, I'm going to share an account with you. When I was younger, back in my days in college, there was a young lady that, since the first time we met, there was just always some kind of chemistry, we'll say it like that. And I was in school many years ago, and that being stated, the dorm life was a little different back then, campus life. And so in my little school, which has grown since, back then, a lot of times, some of our dorms still had like pseudo courtyard areas, but they also had a lawn up front. And the girls' dorms, as they were back then, in particular, had such an area and had some like little cement benches and such. And one night, a couple old boys were out there and out front of the dorms, picking and playing, singing on their guitars. Well, picking and playing on the guitars and singing. Let me get that correct. Well, that wasn't necessarily my talent, but there was, in that point in my life, wherever the women were, or young ladies were, that was where I was going to be, because I always thought myself to be Don Juan, not because I was built like a Greek Adonis. You've all seen how I am currently built, and it was different, and a fair amount different back then, but not. I was never a Greek Adonis. I was still a pretty full-figured boy, we'll say it that way. I worked to keep on my girlish figure, okay? I had plenty of curves. But I also have always thought myself, like I said, to be a charmer, Don Juan. So I'm out front and drawing whatever attention I can, and this young lady, who, like I said, since the day we met, there was always some kind of chemistry between us. And for lack of a better name, and to protect, I don't know if anybody was innocent in any of the accounts, I gotta tell, but we'll just call her L, okay? So L and I were out there being L and I. So eventually she ends up sitting in my lap. And then suddenly, for no apparent reason that I could tell, I'm sure something I said, everything went south. So L gets up and leaves. Well, again, to protect those who don't need to be dragged through the mud because they weren't guilty, let's put it that way. I said there wasn't. In my accounts, nobody's ever innocent. We'll just say they weren't as guilty, or they weren't guilty. They were just part of the account, okay? I don't know what else may have been going on in this particular account. That's all they were. There was another young lady to whom I was close, and we'll leave it at that. And we'll call her Dakota. Well, after a couple weeks of L not speaking to me, and I couldn't quite figure out why, and I'll just put it this way, I spent most of my time around Dakota. That's who I was always seen with. That's where I gave most of my attention. That's where I received most of my attention. And on some level, there was always a appearance that on some level it could be misperceived if it was more than us just hanging out and spending a lot of time together. But yet, Dakota was quite aware of the fact that there was some chemistry between Elle and I as well. And on occasions, I'll be honest, when I was being a punk, when the two of them were in the room, if Dakota and I had some tension between us, I would naturally and then intentionally, allow that natural chemistry between Elle and I to be sparked. I would tease it, arouse it, so that I could flaunt it in front of Dakota's face. Yes, I know that's not very nice at all. And needless to say, I always got a response, and it was negative in fashion, but that's what I was wanting, I guess, for lack of a better term, maybe a little jealousy, or at least frustration. Acknowledgement is what I was trying to get. That I wasn't feeling like I was getting enough of. It was very childish. But at this point, it felt like Elle was being childish. Because I had no clue still after a couple weeks as to why she had up and darted. And why she was frustrated with me. So, what I did was I went to Dakota and pleaded my case to her to basically go to Elle, and I will, again, phrase things a little differently because I'm in a different point in my life than I phrased them back then. But I basically implied to Dakota, look, see what's going on. Why is she still mad at me? What did I do? If it's something because I want to hook up with her, so what? I want to hook up with half the women I know. So Dakota decides that she's going to go speak to on my behalf. She does. When she comes back, because like I said, I saw Dakota regularly, daily almost. She states to me, I said, so what'd she say? I mean, well, why is she mad at me? And she goes, well, she said, all she remembers is something happened, she doesn't know what, but she got mad at you, and she doesn't remember for what reason. She just has stayed bad since. Okay. So why have I shared this account with you? How does this apply to accountability? Well, we've been speaking about sometimes that we have to restructure, demolish, and then rebuild, revamp, whatever we got to do. Start from the ground up again, totally remodel our support group. Know that when we go about this, there are sometimes certain personalities, certain traits that will be within an individual that is very telling as to whether they should have been a part of our support group in the first place, or even if they weren't an element of our support group, that they, sorry, I just got a message from an individual of this nature that I'm speaking of, a female, that always gets to me. Sorry, guys. I love women. And on some level, they love me. Anyways. That's an affirmation, by the way. There's something positive. I love women, and they love me. Or as we used to say in college, why is she drawn to you, Thurman? because she's a female and I'm Thurman. Duh. I have always dated women out of my league. Of course, you've seen me now, so you know that according to the world standards, every woman is out of my league. Well, I'm kind of like Jeff Foxworthy, I guess, as far as what he had implied that some people of this nature. It might be a redneck. If you think when they state she's out of your league, you think it means she bowls on a different night than you. And maybe that's my problem. I don't understand that definition any better than that. So I've never thought any woman to be out of my league, no matter where I'm at, as far as my physical appearance in particular, or even my mobility or anything else, my financial status, whatever. And I will say that is one of the strong suits of mine that I as far as building relationships in that nature, at least, I don't. You can accomplish whatever you want. I believe the same thing on having whoever you want in your life. Even though I may be woe is me because I don't have that, and I can't seem to figure out why I can't find someone courageous enough to commit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean I still don't believe that. Back to that statement I shared from Maxine, don't accept a life you're not worthy of. That's the same thing of any type of relationship, and that goes to what we're speaking about here. Is that would I have someone like hell in my life? Well, they were young, for one thing. And two, just because a person drops the baton, fails you at one moment, doesn't mean that they won't be there for you the next. So I guess what I'm telling you is, as you clean house, okay, make sure, again, as we've spoken about before, make sure that before you start being too judgmental, let me explain. People don't like that word judgmental. If you have to assess what is best for your situation, then you just make a judgment. Shouldn't we determine who we keep as our company based on the impact they can have on our life and those around us? So we all pass judgment on some level. I do not believe condemning someone to hell based on my belief system. No, that is not my place. But to assess who they are and where they need to grow and change is fine, as long as I also understand that I must take accountability and do the same with myself, and I better be acting upon that if I'm going to make that the measuring stick, these certain aspects where they're not working on themselves, as to why I cannot have them as a part of my support group or a significant and consistent contributing cog factor within my life. And so there it is. That's all I'm saying, is that there may be some L's in your life and they may need to go. That doesn't mean they can't grow and be brought back in, because you have a history and there's something there that can be turned into something positive. But at the same time, before you just totally, have them evacuated, make sure that you yourself are at a point where you realize that you are indeed making the changes you need to do, or that you need to make, and that having them there would pull you down. At the same time, if you've had to clean house altogether, don't fall victim to, I like this personality type or whatever. Make honest assessments as to who will be best for you. And part of being best for you, remember this, is real true self-love is not about me. That's not self-love, man. No matter what I'm doing this for myself. No. Do it from this standpoint. Look at self-love as this. that am I doing everything I need to do to put myself in the best place possible, so not only that I can help myself, but that I can help those that I've brought into my circle, into my support group, so that I can assure that they are strong links within the chain to begin with, and that in my moments that I need them to be such, they will hold strong, but that I am also created an environment for both of us that I have done all I can to ensure that when those moments where everything is going well for me, I am helping secure, anchor them where they need to be, strengthening them in a fashion that positioning them that not only they can hold strong in their own life, but they can be a part of my support group when I need. So, give that some thought and realize that's a reality we all have to address. I think it's constant assessment, because unfortunately at times there are people that become stagnant, or that they show that they are not quite who they needed to be at this juncture, that they can help us move forward, help us be people in major progress, that they will pull us down in some fashion. Because remember, being pimps is the most important thing, and that we are going to get there how? By driving hard into the paint. To the paint. That's where we're going. And sometimes that is difficult. Sometimes it hurts physically, and sometimes it hurts. It's taxing mentally, we'll say, and sometimes it truly hurts emotionally. And I was just coming through part of that, but like I said, received a text while I was speaking to you that I think both of us need it. So try to do that too. Be honest, be fair in your assessments. The text I just received was from someone that's a fair amount younger, and they're just trying to figure out who's in their support group as well. And I do love them more than I can put in words. But there's a few others of you out there that I don't think you're being fair or honest with yourself or with me. And you know what? We're all guilty of that. So let me don't come across judgmental. But that love and that bond between us is a lot greater than. Sometimes it's hard to accept and acknowledge because it's so strong, it hurts. And you're going to find that for yourself too. Main thing is, right now, know that you're accountable to yourself, and that you're accountable to yourself so you can be as strong as possible, putting yourself where you need to be so you can strengthen and encourage others. Again, this is accountability. We're going to do what? Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and share. We'll catch you next time.